Eddie House joining the herd. Let's bring in Eddie House on the Cowherd Global Network. How you doing, Eddie?
What's up? How you doing, man?
I'm excellent, man. I like your shirt. We're kind of matching today. Nice. Listen, man.
Great minds think alike, bro.
I know you're a big Boston Celtics guy. Everybody asked you about it. We're going to start. We'll get to the finals in a moment. But I need to open up asking you quickly about the Celtics and that Game 7. I know Jaylen Brown struggled. Tatum had the injured ankle. But I'm just curious, your overarching thoughts on Game 7 and then how Brad Stevens instantly handled the Mazzulla situation as well as the Jaylen Brown talk.
Well, it's one word: embarrassing. For the Celtics, the performance they put on out there, the way they played, it was embarrassing. And not only that, you know, the crowd started booing. It was just totally embarrassing because in the Game 7, the crowd was ready to erupt. History was on the line either way, and you know, they happened to be on the wrong side of it. But it's just the passion that they played with in that Game 7. I felt like it was a lackluster effort. And it was something that they had been dealing with all season long. It was an up and down roller coaster. Sometimes you'll get a great team that's engaged defensively, moving the ball, attacking the ball on the offensive end. And then some games you get a team that just plays 5 out and passes the ball around on the perimeter, misses a lot of threes, and doesn't have the same effort on the defensive end that it takes to win games. So I would say that it was overall just that Game 7 was embarrassing.
So what are your thoughts on Mazzulla? Do you think he did enough to save his job down when he was down 3-0? Everybody thought he was getting fired. Then they win 3. I don't know how much of it was about him versus just the Celtics kind of waking up, but you think they should have brought him back?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, you get somebody else now. Somebody else has to install their philosophies. This team he was a part of the team last year that went to the finals. So he already understood what this team could do, their capabilities. He doesn't have to learn these guys. He knows those guys. I think Brad Stevens doing it right now, you know, getting this out the way. That way there's no rumors swirling in the air. You're not taking this all the way into the NBA draft. You're not taking this all the way into free agency. You're not taking this all the way, well, you know, summer league and stuff like that. You get it over with right now. And I think the most important thing that Brad Stevens did was make it clear that Joe's our guy. And moving forward, the task is to find somebody that's experienced to get him experienced coach or experienced assistant coaches. So I think that's the way to go. Joe's a young guy, and people give up on youngsters so fast. And so it was his first year. Think about where he got thrown into the fire. 3 days before media day, he's named the coach. So he doesn't really have a training camp to get down with the team or anything like that. First time ever being a head coach. You come from sitting in the back row to sitting in the main seat. And just learning how to micromanage not only egos, but also the game, understanding when and when not to use timeouts. I thought he got better over the season at that. So I'm not surprised that Brad Stevens came out and did this, but I'm happy that they got it over with, and now that could be behind them.
Eddie House, former NBA world champ with the Celtics. So, Eddie, I've known you for a while. We've done radio together, TV, and I still think my favorite question to you was about that LeBron performance against the Mavs in the finals. Just super mysterious. He just didn't really show up. I'd look at last night's finals game. Nuggets roll. They lead by 24, double digits entire half. I thought it was a cakewalk. I'm just curious, your mindset when you think back to when you were in that Miami locker room when LeBron was like, you know, could not solve Dallas, was struggling against Barea. Like if you're in that Miami locker room after game 1, and you just saw what Jokic did, just totally unstoppable. What's the mindset of the Miami players after watching what he did to them and knowing that he's beaten you 11 of the 13 times you played?
I think we got to take a hard look at saying, hey, we might just have to let him go off. He could get 50. We can't allow him to have 15 assists, and it's going to be hard to keep him off the glass because he's a big body. He just understands angles. He understands positioning. And he's always around the rim, and he just has so much size, and he's so skilled. So I think you have to pick your poison with him. You don't want the other guys to get off. And I thought last night everybody had a field day for Denver. And I think the problem with the Heat and this series so far in game 1, and it was kind of something that I was thinking about anyway, is Denver plays so fast, and I'm not sure if Miami can keep up with that pace. And, you know, it's just one game. You don't want to overreact for one game. But you do see right there you can't get backdoor cut. looking at Jokic. You got to stay home. You got to be focused. There needs to be another guy over there tagging. You can't miss assignments with him. If you miss assignments, you're not paying attention to your defensive principles and staying disciplined on the defensive end. You'll get back cut. You'll get dribble handoff. They'll play the pick and pop game, pick and roll game, and you'll be a count late. So you got to try to be a step ahead of them defensively and get a little bit more physical with the guys on the outside. Jokic, you can try to get physical with him, but he's strong. He has great footwork, and he can get his shot off on anybody. But it's the other guys. That's the real focus, is to try to focus on trying to take the other guys out. Don't let Murray get so comfortable, which he's been playing phenomenal basketball. Can't allow him to get comfortable. Michael Porter Jr., keep him off the glass. Can't allow him to get comfortable. Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, all those guys that are coming in that are contributing, you got to make sure that you kind of turn their water off or slow it down a little bit.
I just want to point out, I said at the outset of the show that Jokic is as dominating as Shaq was, just in a different way. Now, I haven't gone on social media to see what the rabble-rousers are going to say. But, again, I know Shaq was dominant at both ends, Eddie, and you're going to want to yell at me, and Shaq was dunking on people and blocking shots. But, again, Jokic, against Anthony Davis, who was the best defensive player in the league, arguably, in the playoffs, he had 34, 21, and 14 in that game one. And in game four, he ended up with 30 and 14 and 13. I don't want to say he's unstoppable, but because of the passing and the shooting ability, he's pretty damn unstoppable. Do you think he's as dominant as Shaquille O'Neal was?
Well, when you say dominant, yeah, he was as dominant because he was dominating games, right? There was nothing that you could really do. And you could dominate in different ways. Michael Jordan was dominant, but he didn't dominate how Shaq dominated games. And Jokic is doing it a different way than both of those guys. He's doing it passing, rebounding, and scoring. He's definitely dominated these playoffs. I don't know if there hasn't been a better player throughout these playoffs. Everybody's been talking about Jimmy Butler, who had been playing great, but he's had some games where he had some low numbers, where Jokic, his numbers are always consistent. It's the same. And the fact that your center is the guy that's spearheading your offense is totally different from the way that, we grew up, where the center was a guy you would throw the ball into, and if you're going to run the offense through him, through the post. Well, they're running it through. He's bringing it up the court. He's catching it at the pinch post. He's catching it at the elbow. He's catching it at the nail. So he's doing it in so many different ways. What I just explained right there is dominant. So, yeah, he's just as dominant, but in a different way.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to my guy, Jamal Murray. It's almost like he's an unsung hero. Eddie, one of the craziest stats I've seen is that he's never been an all-star. He's like a 16-point-a-game guy in his career in the regular season, and in the playoffs, it's like 25. And last night, he's just making effortless shot after effortless shot. All the shine goes to Devin Booker. I don't know, man. I think Jamal Murray is really one of the better shooting guards, point guards, whatever you want to call him, in the league. And it's like Jokic is so good that it's almost like Murray is underrated, if that's even possible.
Well, I mean, if somebody's not watching basketball, they might consider him being underrated. But if you understand the game and exactly what they do, without Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets aren't the same basketball team. You need Jamal Murray out there. He's that second guy. He's a guy that him and Jokic, when they go and pick and roll, that right there is damn near unstoppable because you don't know what to do. Right there, Bam is in a drop coverage. He doesn't want to leave Jokic because Jokic can shoot. Murray ends up getting to the floater. And then Murray has his one-on-one game. So he can do it in the pick and roll, and he could also do it, ISO basketball. If you need a guy to go get a shot, he goes get it. And to your point about him never being an all-star, well, you said the numbers. In the regular season, 16 points. In the postseason, 25. Well, you don't become an all-star by what you do in the postseason. You become an all-star. You become a superstar in the postseason, but you become an all-star in the regular season by putting up some big-time numbers. And, I mean, I would rather have a guy show up in the playoffs than show up throughout the regular season and then the playoffs come around and he's missing in action.
Totally agree. All right, Eddie, just breaking news that they just sent me here, according to Shams Charania. I know we haven't prepared this question for you, but the Suns apparently are hiring Frank Vogel. The new head coach in Phoenix is Frank Vogel, who was ousted in L.A. by LeBron James, according to many people. Frank Vogel, listen, I know he coached in Orlando when they missed the playoffs, but he was pretty damn good in Indiana when they had Paul George, David West, Roy Hibbert. I think Vogel's a good coach. He's defensive-minded. What do you think this means for the Suns? Kevin Durant famously went on, I think it was Instagram or whatever, with Kyrie Irving, was like, we don't need a coach back in Brooklyn. Just any initial thoughts when you hear Frank Vogel to Phoenix?
I think that's good for Phoenix. That's a good hire for Phoenix. I thought Monty Williams was, kind of unfairly let go. Twice in 4 years, he was a coach of the year, NBA coach of the year. But, things happen. New ownership comes. They want to get their guys in, want to get their people in, and that's understandable. I think Frank Vogel is a great hire for them because you said it, the defense, he's a defensive-minded coach. They got enough offense over there. Their problem was getting stops when they needed to get stops. And so I think this is a really, really good hire. I was thinking Frank Vogel, if he didn't get a head coaching job, that he could possibly be the head assistant, the number one assistant over with the Celtics. But, obviously that's not happening. But I think that's a really, really, really good hire, especially for guys like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. I'm not sure what they're going to do with CP3. But and DeAndre Ayton as well. So I think that it's a great hire for the fact that it's a defensive-minded coach and they got plenty of offense over there.
Again, it just happened. So what do you think this means for DeAndre Ayton, who kind of fell out of favor? But Vogel has liked tall defensive centers going back to Hibbert, Anthony Davis. Remember, they picked up Dwight Howard for the run in the bubble. I think they had JaVale McGee on that Lakers team too. So Vogel likes his big rim protectors. Do you think there's a chance they keep Ayton?
Well, I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't want to get rid of Ayton just for the reason that, he's a walking double-double. What did he give you, 16 and 12 or 16 and 10 on a career so far? So those are very good numbers. You just got to try to find a way to motivate him every night to bring that out. He has nights where he shows up. He has nights where he doesn't. And, he's still young. So, to give up on a guy that's so young like that. And I think it was him and Monty had some kind of friction, it seemed like. And sometimes a new coach – is just like is new scenery, right? It's just like having a new place that you're going to as far as a team, because you do have a new coach, new philosophy, and now they can learn. Vogel has to learn him. He has to learn Vogel. I just wouldn't give up on DeAndre Ayton. Too young.
Speaking of giving up, this is a tough topic, Eddie, but this Ja Morant situation, some of the comments from Adam Silver yesterday, I don't really know how to handle this, but when the commissioner comes out and says, yeah, we kind of know what we're doing with Ja Morant. We uncovered some more stuff, but we're not doing it until after the finals. We don't want to take the shine away from the finals. Some are taking this to mean this could be like a 50-game suspension, depending on what they uncovered. You could argue Ja Morant embarrassed the league with his dog and pony show. I'm repentant. I'm cleaning up my act. I'm going to go away for a week and then try to come back so I could get to the All-NBA and make that money. I don't know, man. Your initial thoughts on Ja Morant? I don't know if you've talked to people around the league about this yet, but what's your sense of a suspension?
I think it's going to be lengthy. There's no way. And even though we're talking about it today, so we are taking some shine off. Commissioner Silver said he doesn't want to take shine off the NBA Finals, but he spoke on it, and people are talking about it today. So it's taking a little bit of shine off of it. And I think that is another thing that you can use when you're going back into it. It's like, hey, man, this is stuff that has been lingering throughout the finals. It hasn't just been about the NBA and the basketball. We've been talking about you and holding a gun. And I think it's unfortunate for him because now he's a role model, believe it or not. If he wants to believe it or not, like a lot of kids look up to him, a lot of youngsters. You got to give a shout out to Simba, the rapper, who kind of sent a message out to him. And it was a solid message, man. It was for real. And I think that, Ja has to take a long look in the mirror and look at his surroundings. Whoever's around him, who's ever allowing this, who's ever recording this after this, they're not your partner. They're not your friends, because if they were, they will be making sure that you're not in a situation that you are in right now. They'll make sure they do everything to keep you out of those type of situations. So it's unfortunate because he's super talented. He's box office. You're going to pay to see him. You're going to watch to see him play. He does amazing things on the basketball court. And he's young, man. That's the one thing. He's young, very, very young, getting a lot of money. We all make mistakes. I remember when I was that age, I made plenty of mistakes as well. But he has to learn from them. And he has to be sincere with what he's doing, like not just saying it and then go back and revert back to what you're doing. You got to really be looking to change because you got generational wealth, man, and you ready to trick it off for a gangster lifestyle, and you a hooper. He's a hooper, man.
So when you were screwing around, we could wrap up with this. When you were screwing around and being a young rich guy enjoying life, did any NBA player pull you aside and be like, "Yo, Eddie, clean it up, man"? Anybody do that?
No, I'll tell you, it was Pat Riley that did that. He called me in his office one time and was telling me that I was I was kicking it too much. I was out in the clubs too much. I was hanging out, and he told me, hey, you don't want to be known as that. So I'm calling you in here to let you know. And that's why I owe everything, my 11-year career, to that Miami Heat and organization and Pat Riley, because without that, I'm not sure if I do 11. I'm not sure if I play 11 years. It gave me a sense of professionalism, how to be a professional, how to carry myself as a professional, how to have a work ethic as a professional. So sometimes it's getting with the right program, getting with the right organization, and having the right mentorship.
Sorry, I got to ask another one now. So when Pat Riley calls you into his office, did you know what it was about? And instantly were you like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
No, I just knew it was something, because he ain't calling you in your office for nothing. And it was, my first year or my second year. So I was relatively young, and, to hear that, it was a shock.
Damn. All right, way to clean it up.
Huh?
I'm proud of you, man. You cleaned it up and you crushed it and you ended up winning a title. Like, that's awesome, man. Congrats. Eddie House, NBA champion, NBA analyst here at Fox Sports. Enjoy the weekend, Eddie.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.